Hello everyone, my name is Nick Calderon. This is my presentation on the TED Talk 5 Steps to Avoid Workplace Drama by Anastasia Penwright. Anastasia, or Stacy, is a corporate business initiatives consultant with Wells Fargo. Her job is to help create and maintain a team of collaborators. Therefore, she works on a regular basis with teams that go through workplace drama and situations. She gave this TED Talk to the Wells Fargo team in Charlotte, North Carolina. This means that she had first-person knowledge of potential workplace drama that was occurring as she worked for the firm she was presenting it to. Her position also requires her to create teams that work together in order to get different projects done at Wells Fargo. These are the 5 steps that Stacy said you should take to remove yourself from workplace drama. Step 1 was rewind and reflect, or what did I do? In this step, Stacy explains how she complained to someone that she did not have a shared relationship of trust with, but instead created an unspoken bond only in her head. This step is all about self-reflection. What can we do to be better next time? What created this situation of drama? Step 2, come back to reality, or it needs to stop. In this scenario, Stacy and her colleagues were diagnosing what could be wrong with another coworker. She was listening to made-up situations about the person that affected how she interacted with that coworker throughout the day and created drama that was not there to begin with. She reminds us to not stress over things that haven't happened yet. Step 3. Vent and release, or we need to stop. Penwright recommends having a person that listens to your problems, or a vent buddy. This should be a person with whom you have an established relationship. We must remember to switch negativity to positive energy and have your vent buddy remind you to do so. This person will also help you decide how to make changes and, most importantly, to apply them to future situations. In this step, Stacy emphasizes turning a vent session into productive conversation. Step 4. Learn a new language, or we need to talk. You can't hear tone through emails. Stacy showed an example of an email showing how words can be misinterpreted. Word choice can affect tone when tone cannot be heard. So we must know when the correct time to have a face-to-face meeting or phone conversation may be. This assists in trying to understand another person's perspective. Everyone has their own communication styles, so we must be understanding of other people's communication styles and adjust our own to have a productive conversation. In step 5, recognize and protect, or we need to take a walk. This is explained as leaving a situation once you realize it is no longer a healthy environment. The most important thing within a workplace drama situation is to protect your own energy. Although we must accept people where they are and adjust ourselves to handle those situations, sometimes it is more beneficial to professionally walk away. Taking the high road could be seen as embarrassing or unprofessional, but protecting our own energy is key. In Chapter 12, they talk about conflict and the competence-based approach system. Integrative strategies. Collaboration and problem solving. Stacy talks about Step 3 in having a vent buddy, which is somebody you have an established relationship with and can collaborate in order to solve problems you are having in the workplace. Distributive strategies. Controlling or dominating the discussion. In Step 4, Stacy explains how communication took over text or through email may not be effective, so a face-to-face or phone conversation may be necessary. It is important for us to remember that these conversations with someone we are having an issue with needs to be handled in a manner that does not control or dominate the conversation being had. We must be willing to listen to the other person's perspective. The last strategy is avoidance strategy, and that is removing a participant from involvement in the conflict through physical removal or topical avoidance. In Step 5 of Stacy's avoidance of workplace drama, Stacy reminds us to know the point in which it will be more beneficial for both parties if one or both parties walks away from the situation. Sometimes it will be necessary to take the high road in order to not further the discrepancy. The next model it talks about in Chapter 12 is the phase model of conflict, and the differentiation is people coming to terms with their differences in a workplace drama scenario. Differentiation can be maintained by information sharing and seeking. This relates to Stacy's step 4 as well, as both sides of the scenario can effectively share their sides of the situation to gain a further understanding from both sides. The next step is the mutual problem description, and that is both sides of the situation understand their role within the conflict and can negotiate a desired outcome. If this is not attained by both parties, step 5 of Stacy's removal process may have to take place, and one party of the conflict may have to remove themselves in order to maintain their own energy. The last part of the phase model is integration, which is when both parties involved in the conflict are aware of the conflict and work to a solution that accommodates each person. Integration is hopefully what comes out of the conversation when step 4 occurs in Stacy's steps. However, this is not always the case. In Chapter 13, it describes strategic communication and how to effectively communicate with cooperations. The portions I am going to be discussing in this part is the traditional perspective of strategic communication. Barrett's study looked into many of the different practices of effective communication that took place in different corporations. These relate to the 5 steps that Stacy explained about avoiding workplace drama. In a scenario where there is a company that is rolling out a new policy or program, it could be important to use these 2 sets of objectives, that being both Barrett's and Penrite's, in order to have the system roll out as smooth as possible. Barrett's best practices of communication relate to how things should be conveyed to staff, where Penrite's steps to avoid drama allow for staff to have an open conversation about any potential concerns that they may have without complaining behind management's back. As management is supportive of the staff with a major change occurring, the staff has the ability to reflect on what the change will accomplish. Communicating staff members are well positioned in order to answer any questions or concerns, but the team member must remember Stacy's step 2, come back to reality. The staff member cannot create problems based on what they think might happen but hasn't yet. As communication reinforces objectives to employees, it may be encouraging to allow people to release any potential problems or concerns, but with the assistance of a potential mentor or person that has more experience with the new program that could lessen any stress. Barrett's number 4 and Penrite's step 4 are extremely similar. Know when the right time to have a face-to-face conversation may be. If a staff member is continuously speaking poorly about the new system to colleagues, it may be time to have an in-person conversation with that person to avoid it going further. And lastly, the communication program is assessed formally and frequently. This may mean that something will not work within the realm of the new program within this scenario. Therefore, it may be time to walk away from what is not working well. This could be the program itself, but it could also be a person who is not committed to the success of the program that is in turn hindering everyone else. Stacy created many real-life scenarios that will likely occur in many people's workplaces at some point in our careers. She gave many valuable steps to removing yourself from workplace drama for your own best interest and the best interest of colleagues. The steps she created were easy to follow and did not require any major changes to our behavior at work. This makes it easily attainable for all people. I think Stacy could have included 1 or 2 more steps in case there was a need for follow-up after walking away, or a step 5. Sometimes we are able to walk away for some time, but it is not always going to work, and that we can walk away for a long term. I would have liked to have some communication technique in case the door needed to be reopened and the conversation had to be returned to, since it may be difficult to do so. My greatest takeaways from this TED Talk were to not stress over things that have not yet happened, knowing when to take the high road and professionally walk away from unhealthy situations. The 5 steps to avoid workplace drama can be used within the realm of drama, but also many other situations within organizational communication. These steps can be used when trying to have any sort of difficult conversation between colleagues or employer to employee and vice versa. And these are my citations that I used, and thank you for listening.